Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Gichuki Report. I'm your host, Godfrey Gichuki, and I'm very happy to have you joining us this evening. As always, maybe you're watching during the morning or somewhere, any time of the day. Welcome and join us for another wonderful, exciting episode of the Gichuki Report. And as always, we are very, very excited to have you on this program and to have you joining us. Please remember to share widely, invite your friends to join us in this wonderful conversation. Today we're going to be talking about degrees of dilemma or degree of dilemmas, how to make the right choice when it comes to career, university degrees. That's what we're talking about, and I believe you're going to enjoy this conversation. So welcome. And so as usual, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the depth of this conversation. I'll then introduce our guest, and then we get this conversation underway. But before I actually introduce my guest a little bit more fully, I would like him just to invite you guys to join us in this conversation. So, Dr. Ariemba, this is your camera. Just look at that camera and welcome your friends, one and all, family, your colleagues to this show. And then before we move on.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. All my friends, I want to welcome all of you to this show. I hope at the end of this discussion, we will be enriched. Your family members, your kids, younger brothers who finished their Form 4 examinations. I'll give them information which will be beneficial as they make selection of their courses for university or college. Thank you.
Welcome. So now, the reason for this conversation is because, a large cohort of students have been discharged or released from high school, and with dreams of advancing their education and careers by pursuing university degrees. And we know that a university degree is a key component in building up a successful career. So many students, parents and guardians are searching for the most suitable course for their children in local and international universities. Now, obtaining the requisite grade is one thing. Locking on the right course presents a huge dilemma given the multiplicity of options. There are so many options. So to help us in this discussion is, of course, my guest here, Dr. Jared Ariemba, and I'll be introducing him shortly. But remember, the Gichuki Report is a platform for big, bold, and honest conversations on a broad range of subject matters, as I always say, social, cultural, economic, political, legal, philosophical and theological conversations. Today we're looking at social, cultural, economic, and maybe a little bit of academic. So that's going to help us. Now, my guest, Dr. Jared Ariemba, obtained his PhD from Dedan Kimathi University and is currently senior lecturer at the Department of Accounting and Finance at the Technical University of Kenya, popularly known as TUK. Dr. Ariemba has taught many students in his 15-year career. He was going to be telling us more about that. He has supervised, I'm sure, masters and other, candidates in his field. I checked that out on Google Scholar, and he has a good, wonderful list. So he has earned his scholarly, credentials. Dr. Ariemba also actually authored a book called Maximizing Your Campus Life in 2018. Now, unfortunately, he's run out of copies at the moment, but that notwithstanding, he's planning to republish and get a few more copies out there in the market. So look out for this book, Maximizing Your Campus Life. It is a real masterpiece for preparing you for the real reality of campus life. Wonderful. So welcome to the show, Dr. Ariemba. As always, I like asking my guests to start from just telling us about their background, career. How did you get to where you are today?
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you for the generous introduction. And to talk about myself, I want to avoid the temptation of blowing my own trumpet.
Yes.
But then I have to say where I've come from. I think that serves as a lesson for somebody who is watching us.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I'm a senior lecturer at TUK, like you've rightfully said.
Yeah.
But I didn't start my career at TUK. I got my undergraduate from Kenyatta University. I'm trained as a teacher. I got my Bachelor of Education degree with a major in business studies. But I think coincidences happen. I didn't have the motivation initially to go and pursue a postgraduate degree.
All right.
But it happened that at the time when I was finishing my undergraduate, the government wasn't giving direct employment to education graduates.
Yes.
I should be teaching in high school business studies and mathematics.
Okay.
But then I then chose to go and do a master's degree, because at the time, again, when I was doing my undergraduate, I pursued my CPA by the side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually a CPA-K.
Right.
And then after doing my master's degree, then my first university job, I first taught for part-time, as a part-time lecturer. I can say my first university teaching job was at St. Paul's University in Limuru.
Right.
I equally taught at the same time on a part-time basis at Kenyatta University.
Okay.
But then the first time when I was hired in university was at Southeastern Kenya University in Kitui as a full-time staff.
Okay.
This was in August 2012. And actually, specifically, I think it was on 26th of August 2012 is when my letter of appointment reads.
Why do you remember that date so seriously?
I remember because that was the very first university job per se.
Okay.
So I think it is, I didn't, if I give the background on why that date sticks in my mind,
Yes.
it's because when I went for interview, because I was teaching in universities around Nairobi here on part-time basis,
Yes.
the fellows I got being interviewed with me were fellows I knew.
Yes.
And some of them had very high qualifications.
Okay.
And number one, several of them had a Bachelor of Commerce degree in the undergraduate. Mm-hmm. I had a Bachelor of Education degree.
Yes.
So if a business lecturer is being hired,
Yes.
ideally they rank ahead of me.
Yes.
Then secondly, I had a master's, they had a master's. I was doing a PhD. I had not finished my PhD yet. I was doing my PhD at Dept Kimathi University of Technology.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it was Dept Kimathi University College of Technology.
Yes.
It was a constituent college of JKU Art.
Right.
And it is among these ones are called the Kibaki universities.
Yes.
The guys I found being interviewed with me were doing a PhD in the so-called bigger traditional universities.
Correct.
So there is a way in which you might feel inferior in front of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And only one person was being hired. And it happened that as the interview was progressing, one person was called in, the first person was called in. They were bailed out within 3-5 minutes.
Okay.
You know, we were being hired as tutorial fellows. That is the lowest teaching job in the university.
Yes.
So as a few minutes, the first one was out. Then I was wondering now, in 2-3 minutes, I mean, this is too fast. Then the second one went in and came out. The third one went in, I was the fourth one.
Yes.
So when the third one went in, the second one who was out told me that here you only have 1 minute to make an impression.
Yes.
Yes, because there are very many people who are being interviewed. You don't have luxury of time to explain so many things. So I went into the panel to be interviewed, knowing I only have 1 minute to make an impression.
Yes.
And surely when I went in as the fourth one, when they began asking questions, I responded straight to the point, including questions now in the professional area that they were hiring somebody for in finance.
Yeah.
And still, when I left the interview room, I didn't believe I have been hired because I still ranked myself among the others.
That's a very interesting story.
Yes.
So we will spare our viewers that story
Yes.
because we want to talk to the candidate. But clearly, I think what you are saying is that that's the reality of
Yes.
living
Yes.
and academic life. But luckily, you on 26th, I guess
26th of August,
somehow
yes, I was hired.
you got your letter, and that must have been a very exciting day.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, so my guest here, Dr. Ariemba, obviously, like all of you in Kenya, he's a product of this great republic, you know, with all its, shortfalls and troubles. And so he is here to advise us. So, and you can tell he has a lot of very, very solid ideas. So, but Ariemba, so let's spare that. We can come back to it. Let's dive into the matter at hand. Choosing a university degree is the most important, I believe, career decision anyone can make. Why do you think so? And how does that shape out? How does it affect the rest of your life? And maybe you can use your own example.
Yes, I think so because the university degree, I'm looking at this as now the terminal part of the education journey that you've gone through. You've gone through your primary school education. You've gone through your high school education. See, ultimately now what prepares you for the job market, if that be, is the course that you choose to pursue,
Right.
the degree you want to do. And that is so important because you get it wrong. It means you can either get into a university program that you don't like, you don't enjoy the experience being there, or still you get into a program which doesn't prepare you well for the realities of the market.
Right.
Because Kenya as a market, there are some realities we are alive to, such that there are some disciplines, for example, you might not find a lot of placement opportunities in this market. So choosing that program that you want to pursue in university is so important because ultimately this is now the very end of the academic life to usher you into your professional life you want to begin working. So you must make that decision soberly as well as you can do.
Okay, as precisely as possible.
Yes.
You've raised something that I don't want us to miss, the difference between academic and professional.
Yes.
So maybe you can make a little bit of a distinction there. Why do you consider, say, advanced postgraduate degree, professional, and the others academic? And at what point do those two diverge? A lot of people actually write on their CV, professional. They don't quite, they are not very sure what is professional, what is academic. I think you can distinguish that.
Well, that is a good question, Godfrey. And a professional qualification is basically one that prepares you to work
Right.
in a real setting. Not that the academic degree you don't work. You see, for example, I'm an academic. I am working.
Yes.
But an engineer is trained both as an academic and as a professional
At the same time.
at the same time.
Yes.
So when he goes out there, he is actually dealing with the structures. A civil engineer is being prepared to actually design his structures, supervise his structures, and do all that engineering pertains. So that is a professional. But of course, then the engineer who opts to remain within a university setting and doesn't practice, then in that case, he remains an academic in that regard. You are more of a theorist in the academic setup. But the professional then goes out there to actually put those skills into application.
Plus, of course, maybe you could also give the example of your own career. I mean, CPAK.
Yes.
Yes, so that's that.
Great. Now that you've said that, yes, even in the university, we actually train, like what I trained for a long time are students who are doing accountancy and finance. So you'll come in and study Bachelor of Commerce, which has various areas of specialization. One of them is accounting and finance. That remains an academic degree. You don't become a professional accountant until you get the professional accounting qualification, which then is a CPA. It's a CPA. At least for accountancy, you have then to do the professional qualification besides the academic qualification for you to be registered as a professional accountant in this country.
Yeah,
yes.
So yeah, that it's clear, and I think we are raising these issues because what happens, Jared, Dr. Jared, is that sometimes you assume these high school graduates understand what's going on.
Yes.
So it's important that you get it clear. Parents, please understand. If you send your kid to do CPA, they tell you I want to do CPA or other, trade kind of related. In the old times, they used to call them guilds.
Yes.
They were kind of gilded courses.
Yes.
But that's an old term. But actually, professional is actually the modern term.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, because I want us to come to the big one.
Yes.
The big issue, Daktari, is having been in the university, the whole issue of what we need to know about university brands. Because other than deciding which course you want to do, the next big thing within that decision is which university. In Kenya, University of Nairobi is like number one. Everybody thinks about University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, which other one?
Jomo Kenyatta University,
Jomo Kenyatta, Moi, Egerton, Maseno. And they are all five actually in one hand.
Yes.
So if you are not going to those what you call high brand universities, then you end up in the other universities. So I want us to talk about that, and please just break that down for us, where we are right now. Plus, of course, there is something else you commented in your social media platform about some of these universities really facing real serious dangers of collapsing under their own weight for various reasons we might not get into. Yes, the brand.
Well, the university sector in this country opened up, I can say, from the year around 2008, thereabouts.
Yes.
If I mention the year 2012 specifically, there was what we call the mass charter. Initially, when the president was giving a charter to university, he could literally go to the university to award you a charter.
Yes.
But in 2012, I can't remember the date specifically, President Mwai Kibaki held a mass charter ceremony at State House when we had close to 15 universities that were chartered.
Yes.
So what we are saying basically that the higher education space in this country has actually been democratized.
Yes.
We have very many institutions. We have now more than 30 public universities. When we actually put public and private, we have more than 70 universities in this country.
Yes.
Now, the old universities, the traditional 5 universities, of course, have the historical advantage of a brand. I mean, they have a name. They've been here for some time. Probably the average graduate, the average manager is a graduate of the University of Nairobi or KU. But anybody who is selecting a university program and the university you want to study, there are some other factors you ought to think about. For example, when you are in the university system, you'll understand that the big universities probably could be having their unique internal challenges that may not necessarily exist in the so-called Kibaki universities.
Yes, yes.
One of those issues I can point out straight away is, for example, the student numbers. In the big old universities, you will always have you have high competition for programs in those universities, courtesy of that brand name. Yeah. And what happens is you have big numbers, and the lecturer is handling very big numbers. So the personal attention and the teaching is not as personalized as it could be. I say from experience that teaching is a bit more personalized. The attention is a bit more personal in the Kibaki universities than in the old traditional universities. And when I look at even the nature of faculty, the teaching staff, one thing you'll find is that in the big universities, obviously they have many professors. Let me say that. They have many professors. And to be a professor, it takes quite some time. You probably don't find younger generation people being professors. Because if you get a PhD at 35, you serve as lecturer, senior lecturer. It will take you probably 50 if you do very well. But you'll find that in small universities, you probably have a younger faculty, very young teaching staff. And there's a bit of dynamism on how things run in those universities. And therefore, if you are doing your undergraduate, you'll probably get that services a bit more personal from the staff who are concerned. The universities don't have a lot of bureaucracy. And one thing that I think as people do their selection, they don't look at is what we call the cutoff point for a particular program. If you find, for example, let us say the Bachelor of Education Science that trains teachers for our high schools.
Science, maths, chemistry, biology.
Yes. So you'll be doing Bachelor of Education Science, maybe one to physics, chemistry, and biology.
Yes.
You'll find that the cutoff points among those 5 old universities, the cutoff points are very, very high for the Bachelor of Education program because of competition.
Yes.
But when you go to the Kibaki universities, and that is an name I have created.
Yes. you coined the Kibaki University as a category.
Yes.
Yes.
The cutoff points will be a bit lower.
Yes.
But remember, when you get your Bachelor of Education Science degree, and when you are presenting it to the Teacher Service Commission,
yes,
the one that is coming from the bigger universities is not any superior than the one that is coming from the Kibaki universities or even the Uhuru universities.
Let's even name this university. We talk about your alma mater, Kemadi, Dept Kemadi.
Yes.
Part of those, Dept Kemadi, Muranga, Embu, Kirinyaga, Masida Muriro, Seku, Tuk.
Yes.
I mean, all these, and these are wonderful universities, like Kipia University, for example.
Yes.
Masai Mara University.
Yes.
These are very, very solid universities, actually.
Yes. So if you have an interest, let's say, for example, a program, and you cannot find this, or you think the cutoff points cannot qualify you to some of those old 5 universities, my advice could be that you actually select this program in these younger universities because the cutoff points are lower and the teaching is excellent. Let me say that without any fear of contradiction, that the teaching in small universities is excellent. And we may have constraints of resources that pertain many institutions, but it's actually worse in bigger institutions than in smaller institutions.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you there. Ladies and gentlemen, as you follow this conversation, we are talking about degrees of dilemma. So some of you parents and guardians, obviously you want your son and daughter to go to these wonderful, famous, big brand universities, and great. But yes, and they are likely to be taught by a professor. But I think what Dr. Ariemba, you said that is, it's very noteworthy. And I want to tell you, Dr. Ariemba actually released something on his Facebook that really threaded, because, I think one of the things you said is that the university, the big university professors, they're very, very good. If you sit behind that university, that professor, you know that they know what they're talking about. But you might also not meet them all the sessions you are supposed to meet them. Let's not go into the details of why that is the case. And the semester timetable may come in on week 4. It's an indictment on our universities, but that's the reality. But in the Kibaki universities, you guys do a completely different, give students a different experience.
Well, yes, you are right. And I think when you say we don't go into the details, I think you are right. I don't want to indict any university.
Yes.
But majority of those ones who've gone through the big universities, one challenge you'll find is that there are systemic bureaucracies that delay things.
Yes.
So while the semester would begin, but you might find that the timetable itself that shows when class is happening by who is not out on time. And given the resource constraints, sometimes in terms of rooms and lecturers and the big number of students, to balance all those factors takes some time. Right. So you will find that there is delay in the beginning of actual teaching. And still, because these universities are very many things that are running at the same time, some of these professors are running research projects. Some of them sit in boards of other parastatals. They are handling major consultancies. So what you'll find is that out of the semester is probably running for 14, 15 weeks. There is a possibility that a substantial number of hours can be lost in the process.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things you have to bear in mind when you think of the big brand universities, that there is a possibility that some good number of hours are going to be lost because of those inefficiencies that exist as a result of a big institution. Apparently, that is not very pronounced in smaller universities and private universities.
Right.
And apparently many private universities are generally smaller, and therefore they don't have all those inefficiencies.
Absolutely. Very, very important for you to note that. So as you choose the university of your choice, I mean, as you choose the university, I think it's good to bear in mind, yes, brands count, but yes, especially certain areas or specializing, you probably want to have the best experience. And so it also means, for example, for some of the students, that you really must be a very smart student to survive. So that's a small warning. You have to work harder and read a lot for you to really come out on the other end. There may be a few delays here and there, maybe some protests or riots. That's why some parents prefer private universities. But yes, be that as it may, what you care for is to earn your bachelor's, right?
Yes. Yes, that is right. But I think one point I would want to also emphasize is what you've just said. That yes, some universities have a historical association with the particular programs. For example, without disparaging any university, may say, for example, we know JKU Art as an engineering university.
Yes.
And obviously there is some brand you carry when you say, I am an engineer from JKU Art.
Yes.
Or I'm a doctor from University of Nairobi.
Correct.
That is good. But that doesn't necessarily make the Bachelor of Medicine from Maseno inferior.
Right.
It doesn't make it inferior.
Right.
So besides that, yes, that historical benefit and brand, that yes, this program, this university is associated with a particular program, the degree you are getting from one university is as solid as the other. And then still the same point that in some of these public universities, like the big universities, then you must be on toes. If you find that you must put a lot of hours on your own, I'm saying on your own because some hours will be missed, then that means for you to achieve the goal of the program, you must put in extra effort. That requires quite high levels of brilliance on your part as a student.
Absolutely. Well, thankfully, that they keep their entry cutoff very high. So only the very, very brilliant get to go in there. And of course, we will be talking about, we are going to take a short break, but we'll come back and talk about the actual experience in the class, how you must do a good job if you're going to earn that bachelor's. It's not a walk in the park. My guest here, Dr. Ariemba, has taught university, and he has very, very good, solid advice. And also, he will, and so that, yes, it is time for you to make that career move. Prepare yourself adequately. Make sure you have the right information. We'll be coming back to this conversation. We'll talk about some of the other things, information you need to confirm, especially for some of these very specialized programs that lead to certain professional qualification. You have to be sure that the university of choice has actually the credentials and that the course is actually connected to the industry and is certified. So, Dr. Ariemba, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about those other things I've mentioned. So, don't go away. We are coming back here. Keep it elevated.
Pastor James Mbugwa and the Fellowship of Apostolic Restoration Ministries, FARM, invites you to an apostolic convocation on the 30th of January to 1st of February 2025 at the Fountain Gate Church, Nairobi Sanctuary, situated at the junction of Murang'a and Ngara Road. The sessions will run from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Ministering will be your host, Pastor James and Dr. Lucy Nganga, among others. The theme will be Occupy Till I Come. Attendance is free and open to all. You are welcome.
Life Church International is training Christ-like workers for Christ-like Church through Gospel Light College and Nation-to-Nation Christian University from Dallas, Texas. We offer a certificate, a bachelor's degree and master's degree in biblical studies and community development. The training will prepare you for ministry and the work of God in the church and the body of Christ. Through our different ministry partners, we have classes in Nairobi, Kajiado, Kirinyaga, and Machakos. Contact us through 0748 006112 for the ongoing registration for January 2025.
All right, welcome back. This is the GG Report. We are having an amazing conversation here, talking about degrees of dilemmas, how to make the right choice for your university degree. And my guest here is actually a lecturer at Technical University of Kenya, right here in the city. TUK is famous. It's a science-oriented university, and of course they have wonderful faculty in all the critical areas, including finance and accounting. My guest, Dr. Ariemba, is actually a specialist. He teaches at the Department of Accounting and Finance, and that's your area. I love that. And so this is a man you need to follow, and he has wonderful ideas, and again, very good, solid advice. Before we went to the break, Dr. Ariemba, we're talking about the idea of making sure that you're confirming that the university you have chosen is actually you're prepared for the dynamics within that university. You gave us very good insight, so that then we are not too fixated about the big brand universities, the so-called Kibaki University, and this is your innovation. They offer you very solid qualification, but then there is something else that I think I would like you to address. The issue of, if you choose, for example, to do law, you want to do a bachelor's of law. University of Nairobi obviously is like the de facto. Everybody, most of the lawyers have graduated from there, but there are several other universities that have been certified. Talk about the idea that you have to confirm that if you are admitted to do law, that university is accredited by the Law Society of Kenya, or I think there is
the Council for Legal Education.
The Council for Legal Education, so that then you don't then qualify or graduate, and then now you have problems with your bachelor's. We had such problems some time ago, but I think that problem is behind us. But make sure you confirm. All right, let's talk about that.
Thank you. Now, universities in Kenya have a regulator. That is a Commission for University Education. When we do curricula, we approve it at Senate. It goes to the Commission for University Education for approval. So in principle, if you want to know that a program is approved, you can actually get that information from the Commission for University Education. And as you apply, if you are government sponsored, we have the admissions body called the KUCCPS. All programs approved by the Commission for University Education are listed.
Yes.
But then, on the issue you are raising specifically, there are some programs which require dual accreditation.
Okay.
And it is a weakness in our governance system, because many a times you may find the Commission accrediting a program while the relevant professional body has not given the accreditation.
Okay.
So several of these programs require that you confirm that the university that you are selecting is actually accredited by the professional body to offer that program.
Right.
Some of these programs include, for example, medicine, Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, that requires approval by the Kenya Medical Practitioner Dentists Board.
Right.
So every university that offers that program must be have the permission. If you want to be an engineer, then all range of engineering programs, if you have to practice, then the university you learn must have been accredited by the program must be accredited by the Engineering Registration Board, ERB.
Yes.
If you want to do law, then that law program, you make sure that the university is licensed by the Council for Legal Education to offer this law program.
Yes.
And there are many other programs, including nutrition programs. There is a body, I can't recall the name of it full. Nursing Council of Kenya has to approve. There are many programs that require have this dual accreditation.
Yeah.
The reason why that is important is that these are the same bodies which will give you a license to practice
Yes.
in this country.
Yes.
And unless you learned in a university that was accredited, then you will not be licensed to practice that, what you've learned in this country. And that will, in some university, I don't want to mention the name here, the students had to, after graduating, they had to go back and study another extra 1 academic year to do some units which made them meet the requirements of the professional body
Okay. Okay.
for them to be licensed.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very important. And I think we need to note that those of you parents, guardians, and all the other entrepreneurs, advisors and coaches and whatever you call yourself, make sure that whatever advice you give, there is a way it is verified. And so that's very, very important, Dr. Ariemba, because, engineering. I mean, I remember that tussle. We won't name the university, but there was a very big back and forth. And those guys were very, very concerned. I mean, the students are out here. They are being told, look, we don't know that university, and we can't certify you as engineers. So that can become a major impediment in our career. I just want to note some of the people that are following this conversation on our socials here. Thank you very much indeed. Karen Mwehaki here, such a helpful conversation. Okoth Lavin, this is a good guide for students to make the right decision. Sam Mulinga, this is so insightful. Thanks, Dr. Ariemba. And the rest of you that are following, please let us know what you think. We are live on, of course, on Facebook as well. As you follow this conversation, we want to know what you think about the discussions here. And please give us your comments and share widely, like we said. Let's follow this conversation. So, Dr. Ariemba, I think that's a very important small disclaimer, very important, that don't just choose a course without care. Now, something else. There are traditional university degrees that are very well branded. Bachelor's of Science in Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Commerce, the BCom, with their relevant specialization. But granted the need for universities to become relevant to the market, they have emerged a few other bachelors that are kind of like they are babies extracted from the mother. And some people pursue those, and there is nothing wrong with the bachelors, but when they now get to the industry or even want to do postgraduate, then like you said, you wrote actually in your Facebook page, then those foreign universities have to write back to Dr. Ariemba, the head of department or something like that, or anybody else, asking what exactly is this bachelor's about, and we want a certified curriculum. I want you to talk about that because that's very, very important.
Okay.
Yep, and give a few examples.
Okay. Now, in the history of education, you know, there is a way in which university programs evolve. It is a long, slow process. You know, for example, we've always known in engineering, we had those traditional areas in engineering, maybe civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and such like.
Yeah.
And if you come to, let us say, in business, for example, the de facto degree was Bachelor of Commerce, which then ultimately becomes various areas of specialization.
Right.
People who could pursue, let us say, journalism, they could do a Bachelor of Journalism as a degree.
Yes.
Those were the traditional areas that we've known for a long time. And I think, like you rightfully put it, over time, you find that there is a tendency, or there is a move towards breaking some of these areas that initially we could specialize in. They become independent degrees. Yes, in reality, knowledge is dynamic. It is, things don't become stuck forever. I think areas emerge, they widen until they are solid to become a degree program on their own. But this could be my honest observation now as a professional in this space. If you want to do a particular degree, it may be beneficial to focus on those solid areas, the way they are known traditionally, branded. If you want to do, if I give an example that I mentioned, if you want to be a journalist, it may be better to do a Bachelor of Journalism degree. At the bachelor's degree, remember we have a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD. Normally, the higher you go, the more you specialize.
Right.
My honest assessment is that you're better off in undergraduate to be a generalist, of course, with a slight specialization. If you could seek my honest assessment, if I have a choice, for example, between Bachelor of Journalism and a Bachelor of Broadcast Journalism, I will go for a Bachelor of Journalism. And then maybe if there is a chance to specialize in my third and fourth year, if I have an interest in print media, I can now do print media. If I want to broadcast, I can do that one. The rationale for this is that the wider you are in undergraduate, the more versatile you are. There are more opportunities. If you only pursue broadcast journalism in your undergraduate, it means you've locked yourself into being a broadcast journalist.
Yes.
Even when you want to do a master's, you will probably only still do a master's in broadcast journalism.
Correct.
But if you have the general degree of Bachelor of Journalism, it means you can actually apply your skills across the various areas of journalism.
And it's clear, you know, we have, for example, you know, the print journalism, you know,
Yes.
the newspapers.
Yes.
And by the way, we really need very highly trained journalists who can really write stories.
Yes.
And who can do a very, very good job.
Yes.
And broadcasting as well. So you're saying that don't be too anxious to specialize at the bachelor's level. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or rather to pursue, because again, in many programs, as from third year and fourth year, we have an area of specialization.
Correct.
But generally, the first degree should be a general degree.
Okay.
A general degree. If you, let us say you want to study human resource management, we have a program, we have a Bachelor of Human Resource Management, where you come in from first year, you are a specialist.
Yes.
We have somebody else who will come in and do a Bachelor of Commerce. And the way many programs are, first year and second year, you are doing the broad areas in business. You're cutting from accounting, finance, marketing, and everything.
Yes.
And then in your third year and fourth year, you then specialize in human resource management if this is your interest.
Correct.
And then my argument is that if you have this choice, then it is better you actually do the Bachelor of Commerce. Then if you want to do human resource management, then in your third year and fourth year, you can specialize in that one area. Obviously, then you have a wider skills base. You've done some marketing, you've done some accounting, you've done some finance in your undergraduate than when you come in and pursue a degree that is specialized right away.
And again, perhaps maybe the pushback, the little pushback, Dr. Ariemba,
Yes.
is, for example, a lot of, once the university degrees became very readily available and affordable, and even in classes, what happened is there were a lot of people in the industry who wanted to earn a bachelor's. Say people who are already serving as human resource officers. So they thought if a university can offer a degree in Bachelor's of Human Resource Management straight away, and I'm a human resource professional, why not just go for that?
Well, it's a good observation, and I think that is why I even said in that post
Yeah.
that there are many reasons why people pursue higher education. You see, for example, if I'm a senior professional already working in industry, it makes sense then for me to go to a program which is specialized straight away.
Yeah.
But I've just cleared my Form 4. Those were the primary, the people I was writing for.
Yeah.
You've cleared your Form 4.
Yeah.
You are getting into university for the very first time. You don't have a job. You have no experience.
Correct.
You better do that degree that is not specialized so that you specialize in the program.
Absolutely. That, I think, is that's very clear now. So it is a question of where you're starting from. If you're already an accountant, you've been doing your accounting, and there is a bachelor's of accounting and finance, and it's not a BCom, you can go for it.
Yes.
Because again, you are not even doing that bachelor's for the sake of a job. You already have a job, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So that's the small disclaimer. So parent, guardian, advisors, please note that very carefully. I think that's really then opens up. Let's talk about the other, degrees that are still being offered in our universities. Bachelors of Science in physics, chemistry, biology, those pure sciences. Let's talk about the pure sciences. If you do a Bachelor's of Science in chemistry, for example, what are the chances you're going to get a job in Kenya? And should you be surprised if you can't find one? I don't know any of the industries here that are looking for chemists. Pure chemists,
That is a good observation. And, in the theory of knowledge, they normally say when you pursue pure sciences are the basis of applied sciences.
Okay.
But pure sciences are normally pursued for knowledge's sake. It's curious that I actually want to understand how nature works.
Okay.
That is why I'm pursuing pure science. Nevertheless, in those advanced economies where they have, let us say, serious manufacturing, pure sciences find a lot of application. If you go to Europe, you'll find there's a lot of research. You'll find that many companies have a lab for physics. If you go to Malaysia in Asia, they are doing a lot of manufacturing. So there's a laboratory where people are actually doing a lot of research for physics and applying that in electronics. Mm-hmm. The challenge you'll find is that in a country like Kenya, is that we don't have a lot of application of pure sciences in this country. And if I was to give an honest assessment or a word of advice to our listeners, that we are better pursuing an applied science. Applied sciences will find some application in an economy like ours than pure sciences. If you want to do a BSc in physics, unless you ultimately want to be a university professor
in physics,
there is minimum application of physics in this country.
What about nuclear science?
I read in the papers yesterday that that parastatal that was to give us nuclear power is among the ones that are being abolished.
Wound up.
Yes, wound up.
Yes.
Yes. Nevertheless, we don't have a robust nuclear sector in this country.
Absolutely.
We don't have it. So I don't tell our listeners not to pursue these programs. I'll say this, that in case you want to do a pure science, and those are exciting areas, I love pure sciences myself. Number one, make sure you graduate top of your class. Then you look for an opportunity, maybe a scholarship or whatever, you go and do a postgraduate in Europe or in Asia, in case you want to work in industry, those economies have opportunities for pure sciences. But then in case you have to be in this country, then the only options you have is to be a university professor. And obviously those will be limited opportunities, or a high school teacher. Of course, again, people can pursue things out of curiosity. I don't rule that out.
Yes.
That you can actually go and do a Bachelor of Science in chemistry simply because you want to understand how nature works.
Absolutely. And you know, I am like you. I really have respect for knowledge.
Yes.
And you know, academic scholarship.
Yes.
And so a bachelor's of science in chemistry or physics is as good as any other bachelor's as far as academic satisfaction and actually a level of achievement that actually you know quite a lot in that discipline, or even bachelor's of science in pure maths.
Yes.
By the way, I had the pleasure of interacting with the pure maths guys and industrial maths. Those kids are brilliant.
Yes.
They are absolutely brilliant. And by the way, some of those areas, because of the brilliance involved and the demand and the rigor of the bachelor's program, you find those students are also able to seep into other disciplines with a lot of ease. So it might take you a little bit longer to become marketable,
yes,
but then you can still find your way.
Yes.
And if you're not in a hurry, no problem at all. I think that's very valuable. I hope that's very, very valuable information. If you're looking at pure science, I think you have an idea of what to do.
And actually, on that same point, I think we don't lose this point.
Yeah.
I have actually seen cases whereby somebody does a Bachelor of Science in Physics in
Yes.
undergraduate.
Yes.
But then when they go into their masters, they actually master in a particular applied area of physics.
Okay.
Then in that case, then they find, like I said, the pure science is the basis of applied science.
Correct.
So like you said, they easily transit into another area because of the rigor of this program.
Right.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's very important. Now, before we run out of time, Dr. Ariemba, you'll be very surprised. There is something else that we need to talk about. If you want to be strategic, the issue of there's something about doing a bachelor's of, say, BCom, and where you are located, where the concentration of employers are. You know, you mentioned in a post you did recently that if you want to do a Bachelor of Science, a Bachelor of Commerce, you had better be about within Nairobi, 50 kilometers from the big cities. Why is that, and why do you think, okay, if somebody doing a bachelor's in business, they had better be near a big city?
Good question, and I don't know if I am biased, but
Yes.
having had the experience of interacting with the students across universities around the city and
Yes.
universities out of the city, I have made an observation, of course, which is not very scientific,
Yes.
but I could be right.
Yes.
And I found that the students who study business programs close to the city, for some reason, they find opportunities faster than those ones who study far away from the city. And I think when I made that observation, I was shocked when several of the people wrote to me and told me that I did my Bachelor of Business in or some social science from some universities far off the city. And they told me that I have 3-4 years down the line, I am yet to find something to do. Sometimes the student is not entirely to blame. Like we say in finance, proximity to a financial institution can sometimes make you consume financial services.
Right.
If there is no bank nearby you, probably you will not make use. So I found that when you are close to the city here, it is easier to access opportunities and really get to know how business runs and how business works. And then you easily get to identify and seize these opportunities.
Correct.
But of course, I put that against something else that I think is important. I guess I hope our viewers could be able to follow this. If you can actually confirm that the university you want to study has compulsory industrial attachment,
Yes.
that might look like something small, but I can confirm that that is a game changer. Having been in this field now for close to 15 years, I have observed that universities where students go for compulsory attachment before graduation, those students transit into the job market faster than where attachment is not compulsory.
Okay. That is a very important note. And even it kind of like counteracts the other issue of if you're going to do your bachelor's of commerce in Garissa University. Okay, let's just face it. Garissa is out there.
Yes.
And not that Garissa is a small city. It is a reasonably big city. And there are opportunities there, no question about it. But as long as there is a requirement in that program for compulsory, you cannot graduate until you have had a semester length attachment, industrial attachment. It means if you can't find the attachment in Garissa, you better travel to Nairobi, find your attachment, and go back and complete your bachelor's. That way you create a link. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Even on this attachment, I have again made an observation. I've assessed students for a long time on attachment. When the university has compulsory industrial attachment, it's positive. But then again, where do you get attached? I have also made an interesting observation. I find many students going out for very big government entities and big private companies.
Okay.
You'll be surprised that smaller and medium-sized private companies are the best places to do your attachment. And there is a reason for this. In government offices, and I work in a public institution, I hope I'm not shooting myself. There is a possibility that the system is so structured until you don't find much work to do. We'll make you a tea boy or tea girl. We'll send you for mandazi and tea and such like. In a big company is quite structured. You'll definitely get good experience. But there are so many people are eyeing that even employment in that company to be hired is a process which is structured.
Okay.
I have found that many of the students who get attachment in medium companies, number one, they'll be given sufficient work which will give them the experience required. They'll be well trained. Number two, because of the absence of a lot of bureaucracy, many of them get hired. Actually, I can confirm that the students I was assessing on attachment last year, December, I assessed 17 students. Of those 17, 12 were in medium-sized private companies, of whom 9 are already hired.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of the choice of the size of the companies they went to do assessment.
Yes.
Absolutely. I tell you what, this is a very, very important career counseling program here. And Dr. Ariemba has wonderful experience. And we are just about to, exit the scene here. But before we go, I think, Dr. Ariemba, before we go, what else are we not talking about? Because I know we've touched many things. So maybe you can begin to kind of like summarize. What else do you think is required for you really to have a successful career? I mean, to do a successful job at the bachelor's level? Something we haven't mentioned maybe.
There are many things I could say, but maybe in the interest of time, let me say one or two. There are some areas that are emerging. I know I said we look at the traditional areas, but there are some areas that anytime when I even go for assessment of students, I get this feedback from employers. For example, one of those areas is data science.
Okay.
Data science is an emerging area because we are moving into an era of data-based decision making.
Okay.
They say data is the next tool for making decisions, and any entity that has data and they can manipulate this data to give trends and show what people are doing, that is where we are heading to.
Okay.
So one area that our KCSE graduates can think about is programs around that area of data science. Or if you are doing a program, you can actually see how you can back it up with some bit of data science.
Okay. Yeah.
And some of other emerging areas which going forward are going to be quite important is something to do with sports science. for some reason, it is something that people don't take seriously. But my observation, again, as I interact with some of these employers, sports science, people are taking, sports is now becoming a professional area. And for some reason, historically, we haven't trained a lot of sports scientists. So that is one area that I tell our Form 4 graduates to think about.
Okay.
And then lastly, if we don't have time, I have observed that, we are dealing with a different generation than our generation. If I speak to the parents, your son, your daughter will be admitted to university. But not all of them will finish. We are dealing with challenging times. So also, as your daughter gets admitted, you've also joined that university. Keep track until they graduate. The phone number of the chairman of the department where the program is hosted should be in your phone every single minute. You ought to be calling them to follow up if learning is taking place.
Absolutely. That's an amazing piece of advice coming from my guest here, Dr. Jared Ariemba. He's an expert in accounting and finance. Wonderful man. And we've run out of time. We've got to wrap this up. So you can get in touch with Jared. You can talk to us. You can also reach out to the numbers on the screen. And please follow up, and you can also reach out to him and get a hold of this book, Maximizing Your Campus Life. If we had time, we'll talk about that. But yes, you have the piece of advice you need to make the right choice for your career. I've been your host, Godfrey Gichuki. This is the GG Report. We'll see you another day. Keep it elevate, same time. Bye for now. Have a nice weekend. God bless you.